So let's move on to our hot topic for this evening as well, and certainly one that Ben was originally supposed to be here for. It's moved from our top story to our third down story, because the TV ratings have come in for the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, and it's a bit on the disappointing side for the NGT IndyCar series. Yeah, just a bit. Well, let's play what it is. It's an absolute disaster. Because according to Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal, the IndyCar race on USA Network got 307,000 viewers. Let's just let that sink in. 307,000 viewers. Last year's race, which aired on NBC, received 1.026 million views. Now, while last Sunday's Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach was shown on USA Network, NBC was airing golf, and IndyCar also had to compete against the NBA playoffs on ABC. NHL's Stanley Cup playoffs on ESPN, and the NASCAR Cup Series at Talladega on Fox. So a no-win situation. The photo there taken by James Black from Penske Entertainment. On X, at NASCAR Man compared the previous Long Beach races that previously aired on cable. Now, compared to the previous Long Beach Grand Prix cable networks, this is about 30% decrease in viewers from the last one in 2019. 2019, 436,000 viewers, and that was on NBCSN. 2018 was 370,000, also on NBCSN. 2017, 323,000 on NBCSN. But what you can see there is growth year on year on the previous channel. Now cut to a time when NBCSN no longer exists, and it's 2024, 307,000 viewers on the USA Network. Now, to make matters worse, IndyCar's viewership from Long Beach wasn't even competitive with Formula One's Chinese Grand Prix on ESPN. This race got underway at 3 a.m. on the East Coast and still managed to pull in 626,000 viewers very early Sunday morning compared to IndyCar's 307,000 viewers on Sunday afternoon. Now, while there might have been a packed crowd at Long Beach for the race, there's still a piece of the puzzle missing on television. Jeff Gluck from The Athletic said, "It best, IndyCar has an incredible product, great racing, super talented fields, awesome personalities, very accessible, cool events, and yet something isn't adding up with viewership, which is such a shame." Now, Ben and Matt still here. What are your main takeaways from the information we've learned from Long Beach viewership numbers? And I know, Ben, you're very passionate on this, so go.
Got to get a sip of Baja Blast before this one.
I thought this was coming.
It's unacceptable. That's the only word I keep coming back to. It is just simply unacceptable. USA is in more households than NBCSN was, by the way, just to further drive home the point of how bad that decline is. Of course, being on cable doesn't help, but I don't buy that excuse as much as I used to here. That, oh, it was on cable. You got to. That's not an excuse for the ratings to be down 70%. The fact that you're going up. I mean, this is always a big time of year for sports, right? You got the NBA and NHL are firmly in playoff season. NBC was airing a golf event. Now you can make the argument that they don't have a dedicated sports channel anymore. They do have a dedicated golf channel. It's called the Golf Channel. 40th anniversary of the Long Beach Grand Prix. Maybe it should have been on network television because it's your second biggest race of the year. Hey, the reality is that it wasn't. Doesn't justify a 70% drop off year to year. But then you have the real nail in the coffin, the nail in the final coffin, as Marty Reed might say. Formula One, which has spent the entire last 18 months or so, right, working overtime to just do nothing but piss off the American audience that they have captured and cultivated the last several years or so in the Drive to Survive era. They won't let Andretti Global come in. You had the Logan Sargent fiasco with Williams a couple of weeks back. The Vegas Grand Prix was a disaster for the fans that went to that last year. It took place at 1 a.m. on the East Coast in your home country. You've got to stay up till 1 a.m. to watch a race. Do you guys know that between the hours of 3 and 4:30 or so, that is statistically the least likely time you are to be awake, because it's too early for the early birds to be waking up and it's too late for the night owls to be staying up. You are statistically most likely to be asleep, i.e. not watching anything on television, during this time slot that the Formula One Grand Prix was held on this weekend. And they got 626,000 viewers, which is more than double what you got on a prime Sunday afternoon slot on USA Network for your second most prestigious race of the year. It's indefensible. And I know that, Matt, we were talking about this before we came on the air here. The people in the PR departments are very talented in terms of how they can spin things, right? You know, you can say, oh, well, if you factor in streaming numbers for a race, you know, that there have only been 5 others like it in existence. It's the most ever in this time of year with these sorts of qualifications. That, I mean, they can get very creative with how they spin things and say like, oh, look, if you look at it this way, the ratings are actually up. The ratings actually aren't that bad. The ratings are stable. You can't do any of that here. These numbers are so mind-numbingly bad that they're simply unacceptable. And if this figure does not wake up people in Penske Entertainment, people in the IndyCar series, people that are in the marketing department, whatever the heck they're doing over there, clearly it isn't working, because we have some great racing in this series that nobody seems to be watching, nobody seems to know is on. The glove should have been off years ago, to be quite honest, but numbers like this, there's no excuse anymore. Something has to change. This is absolutely unacceptable. And everybody that is so frustrated with the lack of energy and the lack of marketing from this series has every right to be. And this is just further vindication of that your second biggest race of the year couldn't even get half the viewership that an F1 Grand Prix at 3 a.m. I mean, I just have to repeat that because it's an unbelievable reminder that despite everything that they have done to frustrate American viewers with the Andretti saga, they're still drawing double what you are drawing for a race airing at 3 a.m. on the East Coast. It's unbelievably bad, and it's simply unacceptable.
Yeah, that's the bit that gets me, is that the Chinese Grand Prix got double at that time of the day. Well, more than double, yeah. At that time of the day for you guys, it was an 8 o'clock start for us in the UK. Race start was. It wasn't too bad. But to get double or more than double against the crown jewel Stroden Street race of the season for IndyCar on an anniversary, why could they not have had that race go off an hour and a half earlier? Because Talladega was on at the same time, obviously on Sunday afternoon. Now I went back because it got brought up in our grid group chat yesterday, and I went back all the way back to the year 1990. I'm going to throw this stat out because I came up with it. I've not seen it reported anywhere else, so I'm going to go with it. I went all the way back to 1990 to see when Talladega and Long Beach have clashed, and it's only happened twice since 1990, 2000 and 2011. So it's not like a regular clashing event like Monaco and the Indianapolis 500, which are obviously generally on the same weekend, obviously not at the same time. Normally it's clashed with a Bristol or a Martinsville or a Texas. But this goes back to all the negativity we've talked about from IndyCar over these past, 7 or 8 weeks. And it's happened again tonight with the disqualifications at St. Pete. Then we had, a couple of weeks off to a race that nobody was interested in at all and nobody watched. And that's killed them, absolutely killed them, that Thermal Club $1 million challenge. No one cared. It was absolutely duller than a dull thing. Watching paint dry was more exciting than watching Colton Herta go around 12 seconds off the speed of the leaders trying to save tyres. What was all that about? If they're going to come back with that next year, they need to change the rules. And then we rock up to Long Beach, and the NASCAR's obviously numbers are on the upward trajectory at the moment. But to get more than double for the Chinese Grand Prix at that time against your crown jewel non-Indianapolis 500 race, it's not good enough. There is no promotion. We went back, we talked about when Penske bought the series a couple of years back. IndyCar's in a great position here. We know what Penske can do with things and the speedway and such like. It's just going to skyrocket. It's just flatlined, if not gone backwards. we had the good news of last couple of weeks of Prema coming in. We've had some really good drivers come into the series over the last couple of years. Are they being promoted? Absolutely nothing. It's tumbleweed in Indianapolis unless it's May. That's all they're going to care about soon. We are just going to have, much like Le Mans was when it wasn't part of the championship, a one-off race in the summer for these cars and these teams. This is the way it's going at the moment. And again, I come back to a point I made almost an hour ago. IndyCar is brilliant and we love it, but it's dying a slow and painful death. And something needs to be done. And to Ben's point from before, it needed to be done yesterday or last week or last month. It just hasn't happened. We had all the confusion with the video game as well. That didn't help the younger audience. So just what is going on?
I agree with you, Matt. It's painful. I don't know if it's slow. I mean, just think about how quickly is the news coming in.
Trying to be kind.
Week alone. I mean, and think about it this way. Your biggest race of the year, the Indianapolis 500, is the largest single-day sporting event in the world. You factor in the grandstands and the infield, I think you can get just over 300,000 people into the Speedway on race day, right?
Oh, I know you go. Yeah.
How many people watched your second biggest race of the year? Just a little bit over 300,000. You can get as many people into the IMS facility as watch this race on television. I mean, that just think about that for a moment.
I'd suggest that number you skew the number, because if you include all the media, all the teams, all the TV people, that's going to be more than that, isn't it? At the racetrack, all the officials, all the flaggies, paramedics, all of that is more than people that sat down in front of their telly on USA and watched Long Beach on Sunday.
Yeah, and listen, to be completely fair, I know Jackson was on site for us this weekend. He said the crowd was great. There were a lot of people there really invested in it. But you're absolutely right. You can literally fit more people into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway than checked out this race on television this weekend. And if that doesn't tell you that it's long past time for people in IndyCar to wake up and recognize that we have a problem here, if this number isn't that, I don't know what is.
I've got a terrifying fact here that I hope I'm wrong about. I think the UK on Sky Sports F1 had more viewers than the entire United States of America. I think they did.
It wouldn't be the first time that's happened, Josh, to be honest.
Yeah.
It used to happen quite more often when it was on BT Sport back in 5 years ago. Now it's gone to Sky on the F1 channel. It's a bit more tucked away for you. My favourite phrase of every week, casual race fan. But it's astonishing. Even the IMSA race, which was on Saturday afternoon, I don't know what the TV number was, but I know on YouTube it's already up to 122,000 people have watched the IMSA race from Saturday. That's a fairly decent number for a 100-minute sports car race.
I mean, for God's sake, let's put it into comparison here as well. A professional TV company got 306,000 viewers for their race. I got 110,000 viewers for a timing screen in MotoGP testing at the end of last year. I mean, it's beggars belief. There are streamers out there who are getting like 53 million viewers for what, an hour stream, 2 hour stream? It's insane.
Well, you opening a box.
Yeah.
You guys can answer this, hopefully for me, because since you actually live there. What's the population of the UK up to now, right? Do you have a figure in mind? How many tens of millions that might be?
The last census was 3 years ago, so it's going to be fairly.
Yeah, they're doing one next year, aren't they?
Close.
Because
67 million.
Was that how many?
97.
67 is the UK population in 2022.
67. So we're up to about, I think, just a little under 350 million here in the United States.
And we beat the viewing figures as well. That's insane. I mean,
with what, 5.5 times fewer people in your country than the home country of the series, and more people watched it on Sky than on NBC Sports through USA. That is
Forget it. IndyCar's
There
dead.
are no words.
Yeah.
Only
IndyCar's
word,
dead.
and,
That's our top story.
the same word I started with. The only word is unacceptable. You cannot spin that. You cannot try to work around that. You have to look at that and say, it's well past time. The panic button should have been hit a long time ago. We've got to do something because all the ingredients are there. We have great racing. We have great tracks. We have great drivers. We have drivers that actually have personality. We don't have the viewers coming in to see all of that. Why is that? You don't market the series. You don't promote the series like you should. And there are still people out there that if you mention the Indy 500, they think it's a NASCAR race. Nobody knows. They don't even know what the big race is, the biggest race of the year is, let alone that there's an entire series, an entire championship that surrounds that. And that's reflected in the fact that only 307,000 people watched this weekend for your second biggest race of the year.
Be interesting to see what the number is this Sunday, because I guess it's going back to NBC this week.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. But it'll it'll be up against NASCAR at Dover at the same time. So we've got another timed clash. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Well, you've got Long Beach against Talladega, and then you've got Barber against Dover. No offense to Dover International Speedway, but you're going to get more people looking at Talladega.
It's Dover Motor Speedway, actually, Matt.
Sorry?
It's Dover Motor Speedway now. SMI bought
Motor
it.
Speedway. They dropped the international. Sorry.
My home track.
Start calling it Dover Downs.
Guys, just one more point on this. When we're talking about schedule conflicts, I think our friend Matthew Owens actually brought this up when it was announced. Is it true that the Nashville finale that's now on the oval that is in direct conflict with the Cup Series playoff race of Watkins Glen? Is that still?
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that both of those are NBC properties, I can't imagine that there's not going to be somebody that looks at that between now and when that day comes, and maybe we'll try to work with the series to try to reschedule that. But I mean, you want to talk about shooting yourself in the foot there? I mean, it's just unbelievable.
I think just trying to find it on my my app with times hasn't updated. It still says Nashville Street Circuit, but it both does say 2:00.
Yeah, it is a direct clash because when me and Matthew Owens were doing the USON Jamie Motorsports link up as who's covering what, he's on Watkins Glen, I'm on Nashville, so there is a direct clash, and I remember him being quite angry about that and upset that he didn't get to cover the end of the season. And I can see why, because it's a mess.
This was the other point I wanted to make. We're in an age now of streaming, and people have anybody can pull up one of these. I'm on a computer right now. I've got a TV in the other room. Like, you can make the excuse that, you're going head to head against Talladega all you want. I watched both races. I had one on the laptop. I had one on the TV. I mean, it's not like it was, 30 years ago where everybody just had one family TV in their living room and there was only one thing you could watch at a time. And if you're going head to head with something, well, somebody's going to win out. Like, we have the technology now. And I can't remember. I feel like the figures that came out, they did say it was TV only. So who knows how many people streamed it on Peacock. I was one of the ones that was streaming it on Peacock. I can't imagine that it gives it that much of a boost considering when we have Peacock exclusive races, which I've just remembered we have 2 of those coming this year, and they're probably not even going to release the numbers for those because they were so it's just the more you think about it, the more problems you run into with this. I don't know. You guys have to take this from me because we've ruined the stream's runtime enough already. My internet's starting to dip, I think.
Yeah, it's causing errors on my side as well, don't we? Casey says, "Yeah, I can't watch 2 races at once." Well, I had the IndyCar on, and then I had NASCAR on another little screen below me as well, next to where JT was on the commentary monitor. So I was keeping an eye on both races. But I'd love to know what the view figures are.